We are live here in the garden in South Texas for a very special episode of the New Year's Day Pigskin Mafia podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a wonderful episode of the Pigskin Mafia podcast. It has been a crazy day of college football, specifically one game which I will break down later on tonight. But I got to get through a couple things before we get through the college football playoff quarterfinals. The first thing I want to say is I want to reach out to the New Orleans community, the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. I mean, I saw videos and pictures on Twitter and X, and I am sending my prayers out to the city of New Orleans as a terroristic group attacked, or a terroristic person, or whatever it was. It was something involving terrorism. I can't really say it on here because YouTube is weird like that. But senselessly unalived a lot of people, and it's such a shitty thing to talk about. First of all, on a beautiful new year in 2025, to start out the year like that, it is senseless, disturbing, and disgusting. I'm sending my prayers out to the families that lost loved ones and to those that we've lost in that tragedy. I don't know what goes on with these individuals' minds. I think that it's a good idea to do something as disgusting as what transpired last night. And it was a moment of celebration for a new year, new changes, new everything with this, and some jackass had to just ruin it for everybody. And I'm just sending my prayers out to New Orleans, Louisiana. It's a neighboring state, so please pray for our Cajun brothers and sisters and our Louisiana brothers and sisters. But back to business. We're here to talk about college football, bowl games I'm good now. We're getting ready to talk about some college bowl games. What's up, Jason? Leandris, what's up? Be Happy, what's up? We're here to talk about the bowl games that happened yesterday, New Year's Eve, and then to talk about the 3 college football playoff quarterfinal games that happened yesterday and today. What's going on, Martha? What's going on? And also to kind of just give a quick update on the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl will not be played until tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, for those that are interested in the Sugar Bowl. So I can't really talk about the Sugar Bowl because it got postponed due to New Orleans tragedy. But anywho, let's go ahead and talk about a couple of bowl games before we take a deep dive on the college football playoff quarterfinals, which I watched almost all of those games. I watched the entire Peach Bowl because I am a Texas fan. Watched most of the Fiesta Bowl, and I watched most of the Rose Bowl. You could probably understand why I watched most of those games, or most of those games. But anywho, let's go ahead and talk about the Relinquist Bowl. Alabama taking on Michigan. Now, everybody was concerned about how Alabama was going to, or how Alabama should have been in the playoff to begin with. I never thought that Alabama deserved to be in the playoff. And what's up, JB Productions? And yes, what a crazy win, which I'll take a deep dive on that here shortly after we get done with these bowl games. But we're going to talk about Alabama and Michigan first. Man, Alabama did not want to play in that game, it looked like. It looked like they didn't even show up. Jalen Milroe wanted to take pictures, and yeah, we'll talk about Oklahoma at the end of the or towards the end of the show. I mean, that was a bad loss for Alabama. Me and Jama both picked Bama to win this game, but Michigan came out like they wanted to prove something, that this was a meaningful game, which nowadays, bowl games like this is a meaningless game. There's no pride in it anymore. Well, Michigan proved us all wrong and beat Alabama 19-13, which Alabama, the score doesn't indicate how bad Alabama played in this game. What's going on, Alvin? What's going on, Alvin? Awesome, Alvin, saying, hey, brother. But, yeah, it was just a terrible loss for Alabama. And the future doesn't look too bright for Alabama either. From what I've heard, that Auburn is actually beating Alabama in the in-state recruiting. So that's something to look at as well. Next game we're going to talk about, Louisville taking on Washington. Now, I didn't watch this game, honestly. I'm going to keep it for real. I didn't watch this game. Me and J-Mo had Louisville in this game, but man, Washington played tough against Louisville, and the final score ended up being 35-34. Just was not, wasn't up to par to Louisville. Even though it was a 1-point game, it was an incredible game from what I've seen, but I didn't get to watch the whole game. I watched a different game. And that was the Sun Bowl. In the Citrus Bowl, number 15, South Carolina versus number 20, Illinois. Now, me and J-Mo's doing well. He is doing well. He's spending time with his family. He will be back for the national championship show. So we got this show, next show, and then next week's show, which is probably going to be the recap of the two quarterfinal or the semifinal games and NFL recap, I think, and then wild card predictions. I just read a comment on Twitter. But anyway, yeah, so he'll be back before the national championship game. That's for certain. So sometime in between the 16th to the 20th, he'll be back on the show. And we'll actually have our good production show. It's not just a vertical cam show. It'll be more. So, but yeah, South Carolina and Illinois put up a good fight. I mean, it was to the point where Brett Bielema and Shane Beamer were going to fucking go at it. I mean, it got heated real quick. Like, it was a heated game. Big Ten versus SEC. And South Carolina failed this game 20-15 to Illinois. Now, Illinois is a very hard-nosed, tough team. I thought this was a phenomenal matchup, and sure enough, I was proven right. So, but I got the outcome, or I got the pick wrong. The outcome, it could have been anyone's ball game, but it was a very nitty-gritty, tough game, and Illinois was just the more veteran and more physical team compared to South Carolina. Now, Baylor and LSU. Now, LSU started out strong against Baylor, and then Baylor slowly tried to come back, and then LSU stretched it out a little bit. Nussmeier had a decent game against a mediocre secondary. But Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers, me and JMO picked LSU, and LSU won 44-31. It was I guess it was a fun one. I kind of walked out on the last bit of it because I was doing yard work. So good win for LSU. Good win for the SEC because the SEC has really struggled in bowl games as of late, which nobody really gives a shit about anymore, but fans. So now we are going to talk about the quarterfinal games. Now, I'm going to start off with the Fiesta Bowl. Do I think Boise State deserved to be in the college football playoff? Yes. I believe so. They competed against the number one team in the country at the time, which I'll get more in depth into that here in a little bit. Ashton Jeanty proved why he could play against any defense, honestly, against a tough Penn State defense. Boise made it interesting for a little bit, and then Penn State pulled away, made it 31-14. It was a great win for Penn State, but I don't know how much longer they can last with that, especially against a Georgia team that looks like they could do some damage, as far as I think. I already made my prediction on the Sugar Bowl. I had Georgia beating Notre Dame in a tight one, but I don't think Penn State's all that in a bag of chips. So I thought Ashton Jeanty played a really good game, but Maddox had a pretty decent game. But Drew Aller and Tyler Warren is a dangerous combination. I love watching those two play. And then Keyshawn Allen and Nick Singleton was absolutely torching Boise State's defense. I mean, Jesus Christ. I believe they had over 300 yards rushing total in that game. I didn't really look at the stats, but they fucking dominated Boise State on the line of scrimmage. Honestly, it was not even close as far as the line of scrimmage is concerned. Boise State had some big plays. Don't get me wrong. They had some big plays. And a fullback touchdown, which I'm fucking happy about, that somebody still uses fullbacks in college football. But it was a good win for Penn State for sure. I just don't know if they're good enough to beat Georgia or even Notre Dame. But we'll see what happens there. And then we move on to the Peach Bowl, the early afternoon game. The Peach Bowl, my team, the University of Texas Longhorns, who came off of a win against Clemson, taking on a mouthy Arizona State team that had something to prove in this matchup. Now, I already had my rant and spill about Cam Scatabo saying that nobody's able to stop him, and I pulled out receipts. It started ugly for him in this game. The Texas defense really showed out. Really, they were on the field for the most part. And for the people that don't understand how exhausting it is to be on the field as a defensive guy for that long, it takes a fucking toll on you. And I don't know how the fuck Texas is so conditioned as far as a defense. Like, they are fucking conditioned because... Okay, let's break it down by quarter, first of all. So, Texas kicks the ball to Arizona State, right? And Arizona State drives down the field, based off of Texas mistakes. Texas starts off with a Maurice Blackwell penalty, which that motherfucker needs to stay off the field if he's gonna fucking miss a block punt like that. That pissed me off more than anything. And then just driving down the field on us in that first drive. We stopped them, ended up getting a field goal out of it, making it 3-0. Then we get the ball. First play, 60-yard RPO action slant route from Quinn Ewers to... Yeah, I was fucking irate about that. What in the fuck was he thinking? But Quinn throws a beautiful fucking slant route to Matthew Golden, and Matthew Golden, or no, it was DeAndre Moore. DeAndre Moore takes it 60 yards, gets a first down for it. Then motions out Jaden Blue, and what looked like it was going to be a screen pass ends up being a wheel route. Like it was an outside screen wheel route combination right there. So fake block and wheel route, and it was a beautiful pass thrown by Quinn to start off the game. 2-play drive, touchdown, right? Then the Texas defense stops Arizona State, punts the ball, and what was one of the most beautiful punt returns I had ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not talking about the return itself. I'm talking about the blocking. Ryan Niblett fucking laid somebody out. I don't know who it was. Ryan Niblett did a beautiful, and this is a textbook perfect, not a blindside block, but God, I can't think of the name right now. But he laid the motherfucker out. I'm just going to say that right now. I called it something that I used to do so well in football, but it's not a blindside block. It's a, fuck. I can't think of the word right now because I'm fucking thinking about the summary. But anyways, Texas scores 14-3. Arizona State is struggling to run the ball against Texas. So, again, Cam Scatterbo said that he's the best running back in college football and that nobody could stop him. Well, Texas was stopping him in the first quarter. Then, in the second quarter, Texas drives down the field, and to me, this was Quinn's best game this season, in my opinion. And what solidified to me as the best quarterback coming into the draft. Now, a lot of people could say he's not the best quarterback going into the draft. Well, let me explain something to you. Just because I say he's going to be the best quarterback coming into the draft doesn't mean he's going to be a day one starter. He could be drafted anywhere. He could be drafted to the Cowboys under Dak Prescott for a couple seasons, maybe a season, and take over. It's called progression. You learn from what you learn from ahead of you, right? So Quinn throws this crazy audible on fourth and inches and throws it to Matthew, a beautiful pass to Matthew Golden. Absolutely amazing, by the way. What a catch by Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden went off in this game. Then incomplete. Then we kick a field goal, which was good for Bert Auburn, which I'm going to get to that motherfucker here in a little while. And then it's halftime, 17-3. Sark's saying that we need to fix some things. Kenny Dillingham says we need to wake up. Then Texas gets the ball first. We don't do anything on that first drive. Then Arizona State gets the ball. They don't do anything on that drive. Punch the ball. Or no, they drive down the field. Cam Scatterbo's starting to wake up a little bit. But then Texas stops them at the goal line. On 4th and inches at the goal line. Fucking stuffs him. Vernon Broughton checks him. And he bounces off. Kind of loses his footing. His contact, balance, control. Which he's a really good running back for that. Contact, balance. Remember that. And then gets tackled at the 2-yard line. And then some fucking freaky shit starts happening. And I believe this is around the middle of the 3rd quarter. Quintravian Wisner gets a carry, but gets the ball popped out. And it goes straight back to Quinn. Quinn doesn't know what to do with it because it's a running play, so it's already past the line of where linemen could cross, or they already crossed the line of scrimmage. So what does Quinn do? He has to fall for a safety, because what happens if he throws intentional grounding? Well, that's a fucking safety. So then Arizona State gets the ball again. They drive down the field again, and then they kick a field goal. Makes it 17-8. And then Texas ends up scoring again, makes it 24-8, which by this time I thought the game was over. 4th quarter comes around. Our defense is gassed. Cam Scatterbo wakes the fuck up. And this dude's already fucking puking. He is deteriorated. He's tired. He is just not feeling it. Like, he's exhausted, right? This may have been the most resilient player I've seen all season. He went the fuck off in this 4th quarter. First of all, that fucking running back pass for a touchdown was inexcusable for Malik Muhammad and Michael Taft. Michael Taft read that as a run first. He should have read it as a pass. But it was a short throw that the receiver came back for the ball, ended up getting it, touchdown. They go for 2. They get the 2. And then Texas gets the ball, kind of drives down the field a little bit. And then on a 1st down, Sark and the offense coordinator thinks it's a good idea. Kyle Flood thinks it's a good idea to throw the ball when you're up by 8. So Quinn throws a beautiful pass, but it's not the right throw. It's a floater and not a straight beeline. I think he throws floaters just because he doesn't want to be responsible for hospital passes. Now, I love watching Quinn Ewers play, but I will critique him when I need to. You shouldn't have thrown that ball. That was a too high safety, and also you had man coverage right there. And it was it wasn't the best pass, but Arizona State picks it off. And first play for Arizona State, Sam Levitt throws it to Cam Scatterbo for a fucking bomb. One of the few times Sam Levitt was able to throw passes against this Texas defense. And Michael Taft has 2 fucking penalties on him. A personal foul, face mask, and a pass interference when, let's be real, that was a push off by Cam Scatterbo. But give the devil credit where he's due. No pun intended, because they're Sun Devils. Then they drive down the goal line. They get a fucking touchdown with Cam Scatterbo running it in. And then they get the 2-point conversion where Texas should have stopped Cam Scatterbo on that play. Then the first attempt for Bert Auburn to kick a field goal to at least put 3 points or have a 3-point lead. Misses it. Wide right? Then Arizona State gets the ball and kind of drives down the field. And then on a third down play, Michael Teff probably made the clutch play of the year, in my opinion, as far as the defensive side of the ball. Made a clutch play. Now, people are arguing that this play was a targeting because the dude was knocked out and couldn't fucking move, but he still caught the pass and he made a football move. So yes, that is not targeting for you textbook targeters, which I am already at their throats on Twitter. Stops them right there, 4th and 5. Arizona State punts the ball. And it looked like Quinn, that last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter, was just on one, dude. Like, that was probably the best 5 minutes of fourth quarter football I've seen Quinn play in a long time. Threw a tight window to Gunnar Helm. Looked like Gunnar Helm hurt his leg, but he got right back up. And this is where I love Gunnar Helm. He's tough, and he's a clutch player. Then throws a nice little pass to Matthew Golden, which he gets about 15 yards on a play. And then we start running the ball, and we cannot, in the whole game, we could not run the ball. Why? Because we fucking... All right, see you later, JB Productions. We fucking run the outside zone instead of the inside zone. Run the goddamn ball on the inside zone, right? And then we get a fucking penalty for it. Or we get a penalty, which makes it 1st and 15, right? First play, pass. Second play, pass. Third play, pass play. But guess what? Quinn runs the ball for about 6 yards. It's 4th and 9 with 2 seconds left to play. So we have 2 seconds left to play, right? And we send out that curly-headed, red-headed motherfucker to go kick a field goal, right? That fucking Sideshow Bob-looking motherfucker smiles at Sarge. Sarge's doing this, reassuring that he's going to make this field goal, right? Well, guess what? He is flunked again and kicked it and doinked it on the left upright. And I can barely yell right now. So now we're in overtime. So Arizona State gets the ball first, and they score with Cam Scatterbo again. Just unbelievable resurgence by Cam Scatterbo from the first to the second. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then we get the ball, and it looked like all hope was lost, right? I was sitting there stressed out. I was like, not again, because I was reliving the fucking Washington nightmare of, oh my God, we're about to lose about the same way as we did to Washington, only this is in overtime, right? So, Matthew Golden is a special player for a reason. In this play right here, Matthew Golden runs a beautiful fucking post route where the safeties are just looking in the backfield, but they're not thinking about the deep zone. Quinn throws a beautiful fucking floater to Matthew Golden in the perfect spot in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Ties the ball game. It is 31-31, and we're going into double overtime. Texas gets the ball back. Right out of the gate, first play. Quinn throws another beautiful pass to Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm runs it in for a touchdown. And then the 2-point conversion, which fucking solidified how good Quinn's game was today. Quinn sprints out and throws it to Matthew Golden. And Matthew Golden's covered too. And you gotta give credit where credit's due with Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden made that fucking catch in contested fucking fashion. And what a beautiful throw by Quinn Ewers. What a game by Quinn. 20 for 30. I don't know the full stats, but I'm sure I'll bring it up whenever we cover the semifinal game that will happen. Which brings me to this. So Texas finds a way to stop Arizona State. It's fourth and 8. And Sam Leavitt, desperate, throws it to one of his receivers. Picked off by Andrew Makuba. Texas is back in the semifinals in the college football playoff. And will meet the winner of this next game between Ohio State and Oregon, which I got to give props where props is rightfully earned. Cam Scatabo, you earned my fucking respect. I pointed out your stats. I pointed out 5 games that you went under 500. And I said, you're going to have trouble with Texas. You did have trouble, but you fucking rose to the occasion. And you were doing it while you were puking, while you felt fatigued. What an impressive display of resiliency by Cam Scatabo. And also, Arizona State in general, I've said it all year that they've been the most resilient team in all of college football. And Kenny Dillingham should have won the Coach of the Year. I don't know why he didn't win Coach of the Year. But yet we want to gift Kurt Cignetti, who didn't even play anybody. And when they did play somebody, they got their asses whipped statistically. The score says otherwise for 2 of those games, but the stats say otherwise. But Arizona State earned my fucking respect today. They busted their fucking ass in the second half. I thought this game was going to be a fucking blowout after 24-8, and then Arizona State just fucking came out of the woodworks and said, we're not done yet. And then just kept fighting and clawing and just, god damn, me and J-Mo were just talking about this game too. Like, either team could have won that game. And it was a very impressive display. It showed that Arizona State did deserve to be in the playoff, in my opinion. And it showed that, yeah, Texas does need a lot of work to do still in order to reach to its final destination, which is the national championship. But we have just as much resiliency as Arizona State in that game, which Sam Leavitt, he's a young guy. He'll learn from this experience that you cannot say that I'm going to prove that I'm the better quarterback when you throw for 24 for 46 and you only have one good bomb out of that whole ordeal. He's made some pretty decent passes, really good intermediate passes in that game, but man, I am really impressed with the way Kenny Dillingham really got that team in gear in the last quarter. And then, not to mention, Kenny Dillingham as not only as a competitor of a coach, but a sportsman as a coach, as a human being. He is class act. He is a class act. I've always liked Kenny Dillingham this season, but he fucking completely earned my respect. He really earned my respect after that. Not just the game, but just his sportsmanship in general. Like it goes a long way to lose a game that fucking close, and to be telling your players that are on the bench that are leaving, hey, just because you lost doesn't mean you don't shake hands. Go shake their hands. You know, that takes a lot of patience and control to be able to do, and it was very, very interesting. And I could go all night and tell you how I feel about Kenny Dillingham. I fucking think he is class act. That's all I need to say. He's a class act, and his team earned the right to be in the college football playoff. And not only that, Cam Scatabo earned and deserved that offensive player of the game for the Peach Bowl. He really fucking stepped it into high gear in that second half. I mean, resiliency, it's right there. For Texas, we got to stop with the not capitalizing and executing on offense. But what I saw in the last 5 minutes of that game, or the last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter, and in overtime, that's what I want throughout the entire game. I don't want it just in the last few stretches where we're struggling and we're on our backs. That's a dangerous position to be in, especially with the opponent that we're about to face. Which I've said either one of these two are frauds, or not really frauds, but that I said could be equals or maybe lesser than Texas. But right now, Texas got a wake-up call, and that's called Arizona State. I think that they have enough time to fix these problems that they had, and I'm really intrigued to see what Sark does to game plan around this next matchup in the Cotton Bowl. So that's where Texas is going to go in the Cotton Bowl. You got Penn State in the Orange Bowl. So who's going to meet Texas in the Cotton Bowl? Between the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, I said the Ohio State because they trademarked the. Such a douchebag move, by the way. Against the Oregon Ducks. Now, me and JMO disagreed on the Penn State-Boise State game. We both agreed on the Texas and Arizona State game. I had Penn State in Texas. He had Boise State in Texas. He almost disagreed with the Arizona State and Texas game, which I wouldn't have faulted him for that. But we both certainly picked Oregon to win this match. But, man, I got to tell you, Ohio State's looking really scary. The Buckeyes are really hitting in the high gear at the right time. It just seems like after that Michigan loss, it was like a switch went off on Ohio State, where they beat the fuck out of Tennessee 42-17. And then I was kind of thinking, man, the last time these two teams met, it was a classic, but I just don't know if Will Howard can finish the game. Well, in the Rose Bowl, Ohio State came out strong. Like, it was bad. 34-8 at the half. Ohio State was leading. Then they were up 15 at one point. I had to stop watching. It was bad. Oregon looked like they didn't even want to be there. It looked like they didn't even show up. Dylan Gabriel couldn't get passes off. Ohio State just dominated that game. And this is why I said there is no clear-cut number one team in the country. There will be a national champion, but there's no clear-cut number one team in the country. And the 12-team playoff doesn't help that, which I'll get to that tomorrow after my predictions, or after the predictions and after the Sugar Bowl reaction. I am genuinely concerned about this Ohio State team. Not in a bad way. I'm talking about that they are playing at a really good level at the right time, especially in the playoffs where you got Texas struggling against Arizona State, which isn't a bad thing. And Will Howard looked good out there. He really did. And Jeremiah Smith, oh my fucking God, this guy is unbelievable. I believe I stopped watching when he had 5 receptions for 161 yards in the first half. He challenged Oregon's DBs to go man on him. And he fucking whipped their ass. And then Ohio State's defense just completely massacred Dylan Gabriel in that. It looked like Oregon didn't even fucking show up. What's up, Mark Andrews? Doing all right? It looked like Oregon didn't even want the fucking Rose Bowl. They didn't even want to fucking win a national championship. They just wanted to be undefeated for the regular season. Wanted to be claimed national champions, I guess. I don't know. But it looked like that team did not want to be there. And Ohio State looks like they are trying to send a message throughout the college football playoff committee or just in general that Ohio State may have lost to Michigan and Oregon the first time, but they're not going down without a fight. And Ohio State whipped the shit out of Oregon 41-21. The 21 points comes from a garbage point, which is fucking insane to think about, because Oregon really hasn't been all that great this season, if we're being honest. I never once thought of saying Oregon is the best team in college football. No. That's why I say, when I say it, there's no true number one team in college football right now. And yes, there will be a national champion, but there's no true number one. I just don't think that there's a clear-cut best team in the country. I think anybody can beat anybody at some point. But that's just my opinion. Now, if Georgia wins the national championship, then we have a clear-cut number one right there. If Ohio State wins the national championship, that's different. There's no true number one right there. If Texas wins, there's no true number one unless they beat Georgia, because that's the only team they lost to, right? But to me, there's no clear-cut number one right now. You can argue with me about it if you want, but there is no clear-cut number one team in college football right now. And Oregon just proved my point. You can have the title as number one, but you ain't no clear-cut number one. And you proved it today. I love Dan Lanning. I love watching him coach. I just knew at some point Oregon was going to slip. And they were due for a motherfucking loss. Whether it was today, whether it was rivalry week, or it was next, or the semifinals, or the national championship, whenever it was, I knew at some point that they would crack. And they fucking fractured. So, yeah, it was just an awful game to watch. Not for Ohio State, but for Oregon. It was awful. For Ohio State, this is another big win. A statement win for Ohio State. 2 statement wins in a row. You're about to face a Texas team that is number 1 in defense. Their offense does not capitalize and maximize their potential on offense. They run outside zones, so it'll be interesting of me telling the tape on that one. But y'all can make y'all's predictions now. Who do y'all think is gonna win out of Texas and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl? Whereas tomorrow we're gonna talk about the Sugar Bowl afterwards. But that'll conclude the recap of the bowl games, of the New Year's Eve bowl games, and also the CFP quarterfinals, which one game actually looked fantastic to watch, whereas the other 2 kind of doze off. But yeah. Who do y'all think is going to win out of Texas and Ohio State? If y'all are inclined to comment, or if y'all can comment on here. Because I'm very intrigued on what the chat has to say about Ohio State and Texas. Do you guys have confidence in Quinn Ewers or Will Howard? Because I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. That's my initial thought. I haven't really done my study yet. So, I'll have enough time to do my study. I'll have enough time to... Pardon me. I'll have enough time to do my homework on both teams in the last 2 games and maybe even further than that. And watch more film on Ohio State and Texas. So, which I already know how I feel about my Longhorns. It's just, how do I feel about them playing against Ohio State? That's the question I am willing to have for myself. So, as far as Penn State, they are either going to play against a team in Notre Dame that really hasn't played anybody but has a chance to do the unthinkable, or a Georgia team without Carson Beck, but I think the backup's better. Very interesting game right there. But I got Georgia winning that game in a close one, so. Anything else y'all want to talk about as far as college football? What game have you really liked? How do y'all feel about the college football playoff, really? Because I think 12 teams is too much. I think we should go to 6. Have 2 wild card or 2 quarterfinal games and then 2 semifinals and then a national championship. I think that's the right number. That's just me. God damn. Jesus Christ. What are they packing these bags, dude? Kettle cooked potato chips that are barbecue flavored. Now, Ohio State looks like the most impressive team to me right now, but I would not sleep past Texas if I'm Ohio State. Especially the way Quinn Ewers played that last 5 to 7 minutes of that game before the end of regulation. I would be deeply concerned about how I approach on the defensive side if I'm Ohio State. "10 minutes to kill." Well, really 9 minutes to kill. Again, I do want to talk about the New Orleans incident again. It's just bullshit that someone would even do that. Like, who in their right mind would come up with an idea to do what that fucking jackass did in New Orleans? Like, I can't really explain it on here because of YouTube. They don't like sensitive words, I think is what I'm trying to say for what that tragedy was over there in New Orleans. Just a sad day to be an American. Supposed to be celebrating New Year's, but yet we're mourning lives because some asshole wanted to ruin everybody's New Year's, you know? And it's all about unity. We need to come as a country, heal as a country, pray for those that have fallen, pray for those family members of those people that have fallen to that, who have been victimized. And for the people that got injured in that, too, that's another thing. The people that got injured in that, pray for those people, too. I just, I have no words for it. I just think it's fucking disgusting. Some people think it's ISIS, some people think it's Hamas's or whatever. It's fucking sad. It really is. Like, I don't know. We just need to come together and pray for everybody. That's all I can think about is just pray for New Orleans. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be back on live to give out my predictions or to recap the Sugar Bowl, which will be at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. After that tragedy, and then I will do predictions for the bowl game, the last bit of bowl games that we have, which is not very many, and then NFL Week 18, I will do predictions for that. Which the Lions and Vikings game, I'm super excited about that. That is a Sunday night game too, so hold your horses for that one. And then go over the college football playoff semifinals. That one's going to be a really tough call for me because you got two good teams going at it with two different styles that either one of them has ever faced this season. And the cool thing about Ohio State playing Texas in the college football playoff, it gives both coaches an idea on how both offenses and defenses are going to be during week 1 of 2025 of the 2025 season. So That's going to be a great game to watch, by the way, in Columbus, Ohio, next season. But, yeah, that's on the agenda for tomorrow. We'll have the NFL Week 18 predictions. Or actually, scratch that. We're going to... No. Yeah. The Sugar Bowl recap. NFL Week 18 predictions. Last bit of the bowl game predictions. And then the college football playoff semifinal predictions. I'm super excited about these playoff games because things are getting spicy. And everybody wants to sit here and say, well, Oregon got fucked over with the seeding. Well, then, what do you expect? You know, like, they're the number one team in the country, so we say. Apparently not. They just got their ass whipped by the team that they beat by 1 at home in the Rose Bowl. But I want to go ahead and address this too. For the people on Twitter saying that Arizona State outplayed Texas, they didn't outplay them until the fourth quarter. So, you're wrong. You didn't watch the full game. You didn't even watch the fucking game, I bet. You fucking virgins. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off here, guys. It's 57 minutes into this podcast. I thank you guys for watching. For those that watch and don't subscribe, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Leave a like. Hit up that comment section saying this show stinks or this show's amazing or TJ is the best podcaster in all of college football or he's the worst. I don't care because I like feedback and I like to comment on feedback too. So, no, in all seriousness, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Happy New Year's and pray for New Orleans. Goodbye, mwah, and good night. Bang. Ta-ta for now.